All right, stand by. I want to call to order the best Rotary Club in the, and we're going to do, today's going to be our first day. We're starting a few new things. We're still going to do an invocation. We're still going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to start this invocation off, which I'll do it myself. So if we could just take a couple minutes or take a minute here. I want to be thankful for all of the people in our club, all the people that we work with, all of the people that support us, the city and the community that supports us and that we support as well. I want to be thankful for that. And with that, let's do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And here's the first change. Do we want to do the four-way test? Yes. Say yes if you do want to do the four-way test out loud. Yes. And how about no? No. We're about split. We're about split. We're gonna do it this time because we've been doing it, and we're gonna see how that works out after Travis has been talking today. So, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And I was going to have a vote on whether to do the song or not. We're going to wait till next week to do that. We have to do the song today because we need to sing happy birthday to our favored assistant governor to be, Ruth. So we begin. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ruth. Happy birthday to you. And if you all can see, she is so damn happy we sang happy birthday to her. See, look at her. All right, let's go ahead and have a seat and get rolling here. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? No visiting Rotarians. Do we have any guests of Rotarians today? No guests of Rotarians today. Starting with announcements, we have Students of the Month and Mariachi Band coming next week. So that should be a busy and exciting and loud Rotary meeting. I'll be doing the food pantry stocking immediately after this meeting today. And I'm going to send this around. This is the sign-up sheet. This is the last chance sign-up sheet for the work party down at Camp Anderson on Saturday. Me and Louie and Travis are going right now. And if anybody else wants to go, you can sign up. Where exactly is Camp Anderson? Camp Anderson is at Lake 16. And what we're end up doing is we'll be end up parking at Conway School. And then there's a map with directions. Apparently there's not a lot of parking at Lake 16, right? As far as I know. I live at Lake 16 and I don't know where Camp Anderson is. It is at the, apparently you go up towards that end of Lake 16. Yeah, not the back gate or the gate on the more south end. You're going up and around the north end and you're going on Cub Scout Lane or something like that. And it's like a Daisy Drive address or something like that. Yeah, we're all having issues with this. But so that's going around. We're going to be meeting at Conway School around 8:30, between 8 and 8:30 to carpool to the location. And we're going to start working at 9:15. And I got a message from Curtis that Will's Bridge will be dedicated May 30th at 11 a.m. at Olmsted Park. And that's the one that a bunch of Janicki employees got together with some support from different entities, including Rotary, to put together that. And they're going to be dedicating that on May 30th at 11 a.m. Do we have anything else on the floor or from the floor other than I have some auction stuff to hand out? Nothing else from the floor? All right, so If you did not pick up items at the auction, I got a few items here. Daryl Skiles, do you happen to know a Lauren Skiles? Yes. We have a thing here for you to take home, and it will cost you $1 shipping and handling today whenever we pay our fines. And let's see, we've got another thing here for a Paul Wagner. It is, I don't know what it is. It's apparently something that you, and that will be $1 shipping and handling for that. And did Andy show up today? Is she here? Okay, and these things are for Andy right here. And does anybody know an Anna and Jake Blau? Aldi, that'll be $2 shipping and handling because it's a bigger item. And these other things, we'll get these to Andy when we get a chance. And I think that was, oh, Danny, did you have anything else you needed to? You've got that handled? Okay. All right. Having that out of the way and Ruth's birthday out of the way. See, she's so dang happy. She's grinning ear to ear. Keith, do we have a raffle?
We do. How many numbers? We got about 100. Okay.
We're going to go with three and see where it gets us.
Hey, Louie, can you come? Well, or Eric, yeah. Pull some numbers here. First up, number 14. All right. What is your pleasure, sir? The wheel or the meal? Good choice. Other end of the spectrum, 72. See, that hard sell paid off, right? And number 34. Hey, Chad. Thank you, Eric, for playing Vanna White for us. Appreciate it. Oh, careful underneath. So that one might drop.
All right.
That's a raffle.
All right. So we're going to start looking at changing up our Sergeant at Arms as well. Like I said, May is going to be the month of, we're testing a couple of things here to see how they work. And Travis is furiously going to be taking notes to see what works and what doesn't. And I think he wanted me to do this before I was done with my presidency, so it's my fault. So I'm good with that. So with our Sergeant at Arms today, we're going to make it real quick and easy. First off, let's see, I took a couple notes here. If you were not at the auction, that'll be $2. And if you did go to the auction and you did not fill out a survey for Ruth as she sent out in her email, that will be another $2. Let's see, along with the birthday, she's getting happy. She's getting her a little dig in. So what we'd really like to see is more things like this from our Sergeant at Arms and things that are happening in the community. If somebody's had a birthday or something like that, like if you've had a birthday, that should be a couple of bucks. And I've got my anniversary the end of the month. That'll be a couple of bucks. And then we're hoping for this kind of thing for raising a few dollars, and then happy bucks. You want to collect? That would be perfect. All right. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yep. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of that. On your tables, Louis just reminded me, we've got our new member, Jessica Espy. We've got to have that on the table for 2 months or 2 weeks. So we'll have that out on the table for a couple of weeks, starting today and next week. So we're going to be looking at getting her inducted. Sam, that was the word we were trying to think of, inducted. Got it. All right. So do we have any happy bucks? Keith, you want to do Mike for happy bucks?
Yeah, I apologize for missing the auction, but I had a reasonable excuse. I went over to Spokane on Friday and we got to watch my second son, Charlie, become Dr. Charlie Rutherford. So pretty excited about that. It's a happy 100.
Wow.
Happy for Sarah and Kyle. I have to say that I've been delivering stuff at the auction and putting stuff away for a long time. This was absolutely the easiest delivery that I've ever had. And it worked out really well. And I thought it was a great auction. So.
I got a happy $5 just for a great auction, and a thank you again to Ruth and Danny for putting in so much work. But the environment, the feel, I don't know, it just felt really good this year. Like was just a good time. So a great evening. Thank you very much.
You're just trying to get rid of money. You don't want to say anything? All right. Even better. Anybody else for happy bucks? I have a happy 20. I don't know how many of you know Laura Carr, who's been our code enforcement officer for a very long time and has had a very hard job because she's the adult in the room when none of us want to follow the rules in the city and somebody squeals, right? Laura is done. Today was her last day on the beat. I just by chance had her come pick up a raccoon that somebody trapped in our alley and just left in the cage. So I'm going to miss Laura, and I know she's not a member, and maybe you don't know her. She won't know I said this, but she's done a great job for us for a long time. So that's my happy 20.
All right. Do we have anybody else? All right. We are good to go. Travis, are you ready? We have anybody need to do early leavers, drop off a couple of bucks at the door, and be careful if you leave early because Travis is, I think, filling committees and looking for directors and stuff. So if you're not here to dispute that, you may regret it.
First one out the door is the new program chair. All right. I'm not going to take a ton of time today. Other than to just go through some high level outcomes of the survey. Let me start by saying 57 responses to the survey, which is a really great response rate for a survey like that. So thanks to all of you that participated. And in general, I would say we're all really proud of our club. Our club in general is doing a lot of things right. Which I would say puts us in an elite position compared to a lot of clubs out there. So I think we have a pretty great club. And so all the things we're going to be talking about are just ideas for how we can make it just that much better. There was definitely mixed feedback on some key things. We'll get into that. It was pretty interesting reading some of the comments. Singing and praying literally was half the club said, don't you ever stop doing that. And the other half of the club said, please don't ever do it again. I don't know where that's going to leave us. No real clear indication of what we should do there other than maybe like Lynn's doing and just make it variable, right? Sometimes we'll do it, sometimes we won't. And that will be great. Just a reminder that what we're really trying to understand is what's important to the club, identify areas to improve and help shape the future. And another reminder, not so much for all of us in the room. Yes, that's important. We want a great club and we want to be part of it. But we also want to shape this club for the future, the next 50 years of this club. And so we need to be thinking about, what is a member 20 years from now going to want from this club? So I think thinking about those themes as we go through this is really important. So here's what all of you valued the most. Strongest themes: fellowship and relationships. Community service, although, and there was a lot of feedback about needing more hands-on projects. And so I'll just use this opportunity to remind you, there's a clipboard going around with an opportunity for a hands-on project this Saturday. Just a little shameless plug. Friendship and connection and being part of something meaningful. And even though we all want to be part of something meaningful, the club struggled or indicated that we don't really know what meaningful is for our club anymore. So we need to do some work on defining what is that purpose. Our members are not asking us to abandon Rotary traditions. What they are asking is, why are we here? What are we trying to accomplish? And how do we make our participation in this club meaningful? Okay, let's see. Meeting feedback. Overall, most members feel positive about this meeting. But there are several describe the meeting as stale, repetitive, too long, disconnected, overly procedural. So that's just a matter of us keeping things fresh and offering new content. You'll hear in a minute that one of the most, well, in fact, I'm going to share it right now. Here's the key, most valued parts of the meeting: fellowship. We're all here because this is a great community of people. We enjoy seeing each other every week. Club updates, guest speakers and programs, and happy bucks. That's what scored highest. The lower value areas mentioned, so in other words, things that people didn't value in the meeting: sergeant at arms, trivia, meetings lacking focus or energy, and programs that feel repetitive. So key takeaways: our members value the connection from these meetings, but they want meaningful content over routine. I think that's probably pretty straightforward. I already talked about singing and prayer and traditions a little bit, but it was real mixed feedback. There were literally several people that specifically asked for it not to stop by name, like, please don't ever stop the prayer, please don't ever stop singing. And on the other hand, specifically asking to stop that. So there was no real overwhelming consensus on any of that. Also mixed feedback on the four-way test. Okay. Participation and burnout, one of the clearest themes. There are too few people carrying the burden of this club. When you go to work parties, when you look at the board, when you look at people stepping up for committees, people showing up to meetings, it's the same group of people in our 93 members. And those people are getting tired, getting burnt out, and we've got to find a way to support that. So we asked, do you feel like you have meaningful participation in the club? Most members did answer yes or somewhat. The somewhats, though, I think are probably the key area of focus, because if they're answering somewhat, they're either ready to tip over into the yes, I love this club, or tip over into why am I even here? Okay, top requests: more service projects, more social opportunities, better speakers and programs, shorter focused meetings. There was some requests for flexible participation, which we do have the virtual option, but there was also requests for, could we once in a while have a breakfast meeting, or could we skip a meeting and go do something together outside of the meeting format? So some really good comments about that. Many members wanted less meetings and more engagement. So that's an option also. There are clubs out there right now that we've talked to. There's one in Burlington. They meet once a month. There are clubs that are meeting twice a month. So that could be an option. Let's see. So big themes. You all care about this club. And the survey was thoughtful, passionate, and engaged. We want more meaningful engagement, not just attendance. We need broader participation, and members want evolution, but not abandonment of old traditions. Okay. I think that's, that's kind of the sum total. So this is AI generated. I think I told you all this, but here's the grand closing statement. The survey did not tell us this club is broken. It told us this club matters. People believe in it enough to want to improve it, evolve it, and make it thrive. So that's really encouraging. Okay, so there you go. There's the summary. Plus I emailed it around to all of you. You all have the data if anybody wants to geek out on going and looking at the data. The one thing I will say about the data is the last question in the survey was an open-ended question, and you could fill out whatever you wanted. There's some really good stuff in there. So if all you do is go to the survey results and look at that last question and see the comments written, I think that'd be super valuable for everybody. And I would make that recommendation. Otherwise, that's all I have, unless you guys want to spend a couple minutes. Okay. Okay, so here's what we'd like you to do. Spend 2-3 minutes as a table talking about the feedback. If there's anything, any question you have or any points you want to raise, we'll spend a few minutes after that and go through it together. Ready, break.
All right, wrap up your last thoughts here, and we're going to get into just sharing a few thoughts that got thrown around the table here. Travis has got a mic, and he can answer questions and bring it around to people that want to share any of their thoughts, anything that came up. So Travis, you want to start with that table, see if that table back in the back, like Mark Nielsen, has anything to share? All right, listen up.
There we go. Yeah. So several years ago when I was on the board, I floated this idea, didn't get any traction, but I'll bring it up again. And I wanted to see the last Thursday of the month be a meeting where there was no program. And it was a chance for some camaraderie and fellowship just with the members, and that's one of the main things that came out there. And it's a chance to do the kinds of housekeeping things that we do. So the next month then could start to get those people together to plan for that month. If you're on, like I'm on the crystal ball thing, we could get together rather than doing that after the meeting, we do it during the meeting. But it's also a chance to get to know people. And I'll give you one example. So a year and a half or so ago, I and a couple other guys in here worked on this cabin in Clear Lake. And I knew John pretty well because our dads were friends and so on, but I didn't know Lynn really very well. And Lynn and I spent a lot of time together trying to figure out how to put this cabin back together. And over that time, I got to know him really well. And we shared jokes, we problem solved together, did all kinds of things. And I feel like I know him a lot better and I appreciate him. He may not appreciate me, but I appreciate him. And so there's an example of and there's some people in this club I don't know very well. And that'd be a chance on those last Thursdays of the month to spend some time with people maybe you don't know. Also, if I have questions, say, about what's happened in the legislature, I go talk to Keith. Or I have a legal question, I go talk to Brock. Or if I had a money problem, I go talk to Travis. If I had an investment, well, Nick's not a good example. But anyway, there'd be opportunities to do the kind of things that Rotary is kind of established first to do, to have people and businesses and stuff work with each other. So that was something I proposed. And I also said, it doesn't need to be set in stone. Do it for 6 months. And then say, do you like it or do you not? And it relieves 1 day a month of having meetings. But it helped accomplish a thing that the survey set out or showed us to be really powerful piece of our club, is that the fellowship and camaraderie is really important. So anyway, 2 cents worth.
And if he needs somebody to lift something heavy, he knows who to call.
Just to be clear, if you have trouble with money, go see Nick. If you have money and want to know how to spend it, come see me. I wanted to follow up on that. So I have already laid out the program schedule. Thank you, Ruth, for building the template for all of next year. And 2 of the meetings a month are for programs. 1 meeting a month is going to be for fellowship and fun, getting to know our Rotarians, and 1 will be for club business and committee meetings. So we already have it built. We just have to execute on it.
And if you really want to find out the ways of the world, go to breakfast with a bunch of 70 and 80-year-olds on a Tuesday morning. They'll pretty much tell you how things are. And there's not a lot of filter going on there. But it's been very valuable. And just remember too, as we're talking amongst ourselves, if you don't agree with something, we need to know about it. We may continue on with it to try this out. We're trying on a few different things. We're hoping to come up with a solution that's going to qualify or help with our younger folks who are just coming in, and with our older folks who have seen this going on since many of us were kids. So we're juggling a lot of different ideas and things, and we want to try them on. But Travis?
How about this table?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Come on. I was going to say, Keith has surely got something going on.
Well, I have things to say, but I don't think they necessarily represent everything that was talked about here. So I'll just pick on one thing that I think is important to retain, and I'll admit some members don't agree at this table. That's the 4-way test, because I know I would not know the 4-way test without looking today if John hadn't instituted that when he was president. Now we all know it that are here, but for new people coming in, I think it's important to keep that tradition. It takes up very little time. And anyway, I would like to see that retained, and give the mic up.
Well, and
anybody else.
Since Keith has just said this, something too, I was thinking about, we were talking about this because I'm exactly the same boat. I wouldn't have known the 4-way test except for when John started it off, and it's been hammered into the head. Just like the Boy Scout oath. I mean, a few years ago, I could still quote that, and I did that in the 70s. But What if we didn't do it at every meeting? What if the first meeting of the month or at one of our fellowship meetings or whatever Travis deems, what if we tried that at one meeting a month, that we do that as a reminder and keep it posted? That's an idea. And that's why we can throw this stuff out there and try it.
In regards to that, I think we definitely need to put the banner out
Right.
every week so people can glance at it if need be. But yeah, whether you do it the first and the third or the first meeting of every month, that's something yet to be decided. But yeah, I'm for it all the time.
Aldi? That's lame.
I have a little counterpunch to the four-way test. I do agree that by doing it this way, we've all learned it. The problem with it, and also with the Pledge of Allegiance and anything else we recite, is it really becomes meaningless unless we have a follow-up discussion every now and then as to what it really means. To me, there are a lot better ways of saying it. The four-way test is just a wordy way of saying the golden rule, or even better, service above self.
Right.
So again, it doesn't take too much time. There's nothing wrong with reciting it. I just think that that if we just mindlessly recite these things, does it really mean anything?
I think that mindlessly reciting it thing is exactly hitting on the key of why people are wanting to do something different, because it sounds like we're part of a cult whenever we have visitors in here and they're like, what's going on here? And then we were breaking out in song. Okay, do we have to dance after this or do something else? And when that's not the meaning, but I think Bill hit that right on the head, is we need to have meaning behind that. And we do. We have to think about it. Right now, we're just kind of doing it because it's part of our process now. And it's not something, it's something that we've kicked this around at meetings, at some of Travis's visioning meetings about what should we try out? What should we do to see if we can spark some change and some interest? So, one of the things too, I've been trying to shorten the meeting just a little bit. That's not because we want to get in here and out of here as fast as we can. We want to have a focus. And there's a lot of us that come to these meetings, and it's a perfect time to meet up with friends and catch up and do all that, then have a lunch and do whatever we end up doing. So I don't want to lose that. I think that is very important to, just like what Mark was saying a while ago, you get to know people you didn't know, and you get to make those connections that you didn't have before. And that's been really important for me. So Travis, anything else?
Well, I know there's been a lot of discussion about the programs, and I think I've been doing that for at least 10 years. And one thing I would say is I can literally count on 2 hands each year how many program suggestions I get. And so I'd like everyone to be a little self-reflective about that. I know a lot of people in this community, but I certainly can't be the only one thinking about who can be the program. At the beginning of every year, I send out an email to the program chairs with the link to the program spreadsheet. And 9 times out of 10, I'm filling it up because I don't ever hear from anyone. Or I hear from someone and they didn't know there was a link, and they scheduled programs on top of programs that were already scheduled. So if you have a complaint, think about how you can solve that complaint. Because if you're just complaining about something, but you're not actually helping, it doesn't do us any good. And that's the thing is, those of us who are worker bees, we're killing ourselves to keep this club alive. And just because you're good at something doesn't mean it should be a life sentence. And that is something that, I mean, Danny and I feel with the auction quite a bit. We're really good at running it, but neither one of us have time to do it. So what's the next generation of the auction or the fundraiser is going to look like? Is it going to look like an every other year thing? Is it going to look like we try a different fundraiser? We have to think about that, or we have to get some new members in here who have those skill sets to replace Danny and I, maybe some younger people that have some time on their hands, that don't have older kids yet, that don't have other commitments yet. You know, that's something we could be looking around at chamber meetings, at other professional organization meetings that we all belong to, and saying, oh, that person would be a great Rotarian. I bet they could help on the auction. That's not a bad thing to look at and to view. We all live in this community for the most part. We know people. It's a good way to get people involved. The more you do in the club, the more you care about it. And I do and have done a ton for this club. And I care about it, and I care about the people in the club so much. But at the same time, we could give the opportunity for other people to do as much as we do. And they will then value the club as much as I do. That's how I look at it.
So there is an online comment here from Charlie Bush. He says, some Rotary clubs have a standing program committee, which I thought we did, to satisfy Ruth's challenge with programs. I served on one for 5 years in Squim and would be happy to do so here as well.
Awesome. Charlie, do you want to be our chair?
Happy to jump in. I don't think my audio came through, but I'd be happy to jump in with that.
Tell him to just keep typing if he's got anything to add.
No.
So Travis, while we're waiting to see if Charlie gets back, on another thing that's come up. So on my very informative Tuesday morning, while I'm enjoying my biscuit and gravy and eggs, we got to chatting a little bit about the booklet. Travis, what's our thought on the booklet?
Thanks, Chief.
Yep, I'm going to throw that right back on you, even though I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, so I got a message from our program chair, Ruth, that she does not have time to put together the booklet this coming year. And it does take a lot of time to put that together, and it takes some special expertise. So I have made the decision, and you can shoot me because I am not just the messenger, but the decision maker, but we are not going to publish a booklet this year. So I know you don't. I know a lot of people don't like that idea, but hear me out. Hear me out. Great. And I heard you, and I disagree with you. So now hear me out. We use an app called Club Runner. Club Runner has every detail in the app and way more than what we can publish in a booklet. We don't have a lot of money in our club funds, and the publishing the booklet not only takes a lot of resources, but it takes money. And so what we are going to do instead is utilize Club Runner, and we're going to show you how to access Club Runner and give training on that. Now, if the whole club comes back at me and a whole bunch of people like Bill disagree with me, great, we can revisit that decision. What we do need to do, though, is come up with who's going to put the booklet together and how are we going to get that done. Correct. Yes.
This is your
We can't understand you most of the time anyway, Aldi, so you have to use a mic.
Any questions? So I think we don't want to dwell into the details or the minutia right now. I think what's being tried, and maybe correct me, this is Travis's year as a president. He's trying to refresh the club. I think what we need to do is take the advice, you'll lead us, you'll have the charge, tell us how we need to operate the club moving forward during your presidency. And then we tried 3 months, 6 months, and then take stock of it and reassess what worked, what didn't work. And I think we just adapt from there. I think that's typical what we do in our businesses. And I think our club, not that it's a business, but it's probably the same format, that what works, what Travis said, I don't want to print the booklet, another member doesn't agree with it. Well, let's reassess it in 3 months or 6 months after correct training. Are we okay with the digital version? So again, I think we just listen to the president, decide on a course of action, try it out for a period of time, reassess, and then move on forward.
And we got Bill over here and Paul in the back.
I don't have any strong objection to the idea. What I have an objection to is there seems to be a tendency for a lot of major decisions being made by leadership rather than having them brought before the membership. If we're going to have a membership discussion every month, which I also think it's too much, but if we're going to have that, we can discuss these things during those meetings, and we don't have to make these decisions arbitrarily or unilaterally. It's not a bad idea, and I don't want to sound like I think it's a bad idea. I think the process is wrong.
Well, to be clear and respond to that, the process was, the idea was brought forth to the board. The board discussed it and we made the decision. So, yes.
Has the board made a decision on dues for next year?
Have we made a decision on that?
We haven't made a final on that.
Okay.
So the only thing that I worry about is walking around at the auction. People are referring to their books before they're bidding, especially the people that are not members. Are the non-members going to have access to this information other than going to that website? Because people at my table and other tables around me were reading each item before they bid.
That's the auction booklet. We'll still be doing that. We're talking about our membership booklet. I think the last point I want to make that I'd like to kind of add on to Ruth, since announcing that I was going to become president, I have had many of you come forward to me with ideas. Hey, I have some ideas for program speakers. Hey, I have ideas about auction items. Hey, I have ideas, etc. And I love that. But bringing them to the president is not always the right move. So what I'm going to be doing is referring you to, we have a lot of chair and committees that should be doing that work. So what I would like to do, especially regarding programs, is once we have a program chair, and I'm hoping maybe Charlie will do that, then when you have ideas, and if you come to me, I'm going to refer you to Charlie. We do have a schedule that people can get access to see the open slots, and I'll be sharing that with everybody probably weekly. So you can go in and take a look. But also the program chair can help you find dates and slots for your speakers if you have great ideas. It is going to take all of us to come up with great ideas for programs for speakers. And I've heard several of them, and I fully agree. They're really great opportunities. Okay, so for all committees, part of the way a club this size gets work done is we have committees, and those committees have chairs. I'm going to be personally meeting with the chairs of all the committees. I already started calling them, and they're going to all have committee chair descriptions this year so that they know specifically what's expected of them on that committee. And I'm going to be, holding accountable is too strong of a word for a group like this, but my expectation is that the president and the board can't do all the work, so committee chairs need to step up. We have a lot of committees that aren't doing any work, right? They're just kind of coasting throughout the whole year. And that makes it really difficult on the board and on the leadership. Louis, maybe last comment?
Well, many of you know I've been in the club, oh, about 41 plus years. And there's a few of you that have been in longer than me. But one of the things I want to say is when I first came into the club, it was a complete different setup. It was almost all community professionals. And they all seemed to be dedicated to being at every meeting and participating in all the accomplishments that Rotary achieved. And as any of you have seen the list of our accomplishments over the years, it's 2 or 3, 8.5 by 11 pages long now. Now, the one thing that I saw that made a huge change in Rotary was when women were allowed in Rotary. And I'm not the kind of person that was objecting to change. As a matter of fact, when John and I were in business as Skagit surveyors, and my wife came in as a bookkeeper, and I said, well, I've talked to some of the other surveyors around, and they're still doing it the old way. I was in the U.S. Army and did it the way that the Army came up with, and we never even saw that technology for 8 years after I was back out of the Army. I said, why don't we get involved in this thing? The Apple people were popping up. So Joanne got a hold of a computer. It was in a wooden box. It was a dual floppy disk container. And then after that, we started getting Apple computers. We found out we were the only surveying company in the whole 3-county area that was on computers. And I had to learn some of it, but I was a surveyor salesman, you might say. When I say what happened when women came into the club, there was a dynamic change. And the first lady that came into the club, Annie, she was one hell of a go-getter. And she proved to all the guys, not the ones that decided to leave the club, because there were guys that actually said, I'm not going to be a member of this club anymore. He'll let women in. And it has evolved into the kind of situation where this club really benefited from women being in the club. So that was one big change. The other big change that took place was when you became a member of Sedro Woolley Rotary, you were obligated, in a way, to be at every meeting. The percentage required was 100%, wasn't it, Chuck, at one time? Yeah, and so then you got to ask yourself, what happened? Well, as time marches on and you get more people in the club, they're of all kinds of different disciplines. You have a completely different change like when women came in, like we're having now. So on some of these subjects that we've been talking about, the 4-way test. Maybe we don't need to recite it. Just know it's 2 is-its and 2 will-its, and you'll know what you're thinking of. As far as fellowship versus service, there's a little bit of a contradiction in our returns you got. Almost every application that our orientation committee gets says right at the bottom of it, why do you want to join Rotary? I want to be of service to the community. I want to do some things. Yet when you see this thing passed around to do a service thing for a good cause, and it involves other clubs, and we only show up with 2 or 3 of us, it doesn't make us look like the best Rotary club in the universe at all. So you ask yourself, why did I join Rotary? And why am I sitting on my hands and not doing things with respect to these things that we do for the community? So fellowship versus service. We used to have firesides. Becky used to do quite a few of them. Paul brought up one time banners, trading banners. I used to get a lot of us to take a banner. I don't even know if some of you know about it. Banners to another club and trade a banner. Now we had a great big setup at what is now Lorenzo's. And when we had to move to the Catholic Church, we lost that somehow, lost that tradition. I'm not exactly sure why it did what it did. But and the other thing that I noticed seems to be a lack of is support from our wives and husbands. Because before women came into Rotary, the wives did almost all the setup at the auction. And they were termed Rotarians. But that's not the real reason why the term Rotarian came about.
Hey, Louis.
So there's quite a few other things.
Yeah, if you want to make sure we get all that information to Travis before we get too into the weeds, because we want to get input from everybody. So basically we determined we need the women to set up and break down the auction. I may have misheard Louis. I'm not sure there, but you know, Louis's got a lot of really good points that I'm sure a lot of people here have thought about. We need to hear that. We need to hear that. And if you say you're completely wrong on this, Travis needs to hear that. Definitely. But no, in all honesty, none of these decisions are being made in a vacuum. The board has been involved in some of this. Travis has an invite for a bunch of people for a visioning committee, and we've sat down and we've talked about a bunch of these things, and we've had some pretty pointed discussions on some of the things we've talked about. So keep all that in mind. Make sure you get us something, send us an email, corner one of us at a meeting, write up something and say, here, can you take a look at this? Because Aldi even said, you know, we can reevaluate this stuff if it's not working for us. So that's all to keep in mind. But we are going to beat a dead horse if we keep going. Louis, did you have one more thing before you wanted to?
I got one more thing to say. I'm not afraid of change. So if I have to learn a new app, I'll do it.
Now,
Thanks, Louis.
we do have one person who is afraid of change, and that's John Schmidt, who still uses a flip phone when he every once in a while has it. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem getting him to learn to use Club Runner. So with that, I started a fire right at the end of our discussion today, but wanted to make sure that we threw out a lot of these things that we need to talk about and need to get done. So we need to clean up. We need to put things away so you women get to it. And we're officially adjourned.